It's a Phuket.
Because we have the best of both worlds, right?
If you want to go to beautiful beach, of course, all of the West Coast, you will be never dissatisfied with the beach. If you want to get a coffee in Starbucks, how many Starbucks you have in Phuket? We cannot calculate, I guess.
Sure. There's more being added every month. Next morning, I woke up and it had like 5,500, 6,000 views. I lived in Vietnam. I spent some time in Cambodia, which was great. And that's actually when I launched my YouTube channel, which is what provides a lot of our leads for the property business. You know, there's so much more choice in Phuket, and I don't think anyone would deny that having choice is a good thing. The number of activities that you've got for kids is growing every single day. You know, if you've got kids, it's a great place to raise them here.
Hi everyone, I'm so happy today to have our new podcast, and today I have super cool guest. It's Mike Davison. It's actually I know Mike so many years, right? Long time, right? But I would like you to introduce yourself where you are right now in Phuket in general, in Phuket property market, because I know you in different roles around. Yeah,
sure. So my name's Mike Davison. I'm originally from the UK. From the northeast, from a place called Newcastle upon Tyne. Most people know the football team.
Yeah.
And I moved to Thailand 14 years ago, actually, when I was 26. And I moved here like many Brits, like many English people. I came here to teach English. So I moved to a province in the south of Thailand called Satun province, which a lot of people have never heard of.
It's just on the border of Malaysia, right?
Exactly. You've got Koh Lipe down there. So I was a teacher for a year down there, making 30,000 baht a month, teaching English, and fell in love with Thailand that way, you know. And we had a long weekend, and I visited Phuket. I visited one of my friends in Phuket, and pretty quickly I knew that I wanted to make Phuket my home. So I started applying for jobs, and I landed a job at Davidson School, just next to Central Festival.
Okay.
So I did the teaching scene for a while. My background, I'm actually a musician. I'm a classically trained piano player. I studied music at university. So after a couple of years of doing the English teaching thing, I started teaching music at Kajonki at school. And then I got itchy feet, to be honest with you. You know, teaching kids was not really the reason that I moved to Thailand. And a lot of my friends, a lot of the Brits who I was working with, were working in the property industry. This was back in sort of 2017, 2018.
Actually, that was the time where we met, I think.
That's when we first met, sure.
Yeah.
So I joined a company called Head Start Properties, which was a lot of Brits. That was around the same time as St. James's Properties.
Yeah.
So we had an office in Banana Walk in Patong. And back then, obviously, I mean, the market was very, very different, you know. You would meet a client. Usually the clients would come from a booth that we had in the mall.
Yeah, back then there's no digital marketing, you know, like at all, you know, like...
I mean, it was very, very different to how it is now. You know, you weren't talking to leads for 3 months before they arrived, like you often do now.
Even we have a case a couple of months ago when we have a deal with cycle of 8 years. That's what's going on right now. But back then, the time that you're talking about, it was a time where the main marketing was either booths or those kind of pictures of the property on the wall. You know, you passing by some window, you see office, and there's just the billboards, and then they kind of convert people interest, and it was no digital at all, right?
Well, I mean, back then, you know, if you're a family from the UK on holiday and you're walking around a mall, and obviously the prices were very, very different then, you know. So if you see condos for sale from $70,000, I mean, it's not throwaway money, but a lot of people, you know, it's money that they could afford to spend. Now, the price points are a little bit different, you know.
Kind of double.
Yeah, I mean, for Sea View units, you're not going to find anywhere near that. And back then, there was only a handful of projects to take people to, you know, so you would meet the lead. You would often meet them in Starbucks, or sometimes they'd come to the office. You'd go out with them for a day. And, you know, back then it was projects like Midagron, Diamond Condo, as you well know. What else? Aristo, Patong Bay Hill, you know, all those sort of projects. And within 2 days, you'd shown them everything. You know, and you would quite often get a signature and a deal within a week. That was pretty normal.
Usually, the cycle of the deal back then, it was about 2 weeks because it's a holiday cycle.
It was absolutely. Yeah. So, you know, you're getting the decision and then you're moving on to the next client. Whereas now, which we'll touch on later on, the buying cycle is definitely much longer, you know. You take a client out and then you get back to the house on a night and they're sending you links from websites. Oh, what about this project? What about that project? And you're like, you know what it's like yourself. So there's so much more on the market these days. There's so much more available to clients at their fingertips that, you know, you've really got to be on it as an agent, or those leads are just gonna, you know, they're gonna work with somebody else.
Yeah, I would like to ask you, you know, like as a foreigner, I a little bit go back for your experience when you came to Thailand, you know, because this is one of the challenge for foreigners in general. It doesn't really matter which country you came in. Like, for example, how to live in Satun, where is no English at all, I guess, right? So they even not about people who can speak with you in English. It's all about even to write them, to read the menu in the restaurant, or to have some building, what kind of building, because that way is everything in Thai completely different, you know, like a written language and stuff like this. How you managed to do it? It's you have to. It's you came because of you don't understand where you're going, and you just you've been so brave and you want to get this challenge. How do you think?
I understand. I mean, to put it into perspective, Satun is a really small town. Yeah. You know, we're talking, when I was living there were 2 7-Elevens in town.
Yeah.
You know, there were maybe 15, 20 Falang foreigners living in Satun, maybe 10 teachers and a few old boys who were married to Thai ladies down there, you know. So the level of English was pretty much zero. And for me, as a 26-year-old English guy, I'd been to Spain, but that was about as tropical as it got for me, you know. So just being dropped into the middle of rural Thailand, it was a bit of a shock to the system, but that was kind of why I did it, you know. I was living in England, working as a music promoter in a bar, not really enjoying life, and I thought that this isn't where I want to be. The northeast of England was a pretty grey place, you know, so I got dumped in the middle of southern Thailand, and I just didn't want to leave.
This contrast is like one of the main...
Totally. It was like being a kid again. You know, everything was new, all these new tastes, and driving to waterfalls on a motorbike and going to big caves and meeting new people. It made me thankful to be alive again, to be quite honest with you. You know, my last few years in the UK, I wasn't enjoying life. Northeast of England, I'm not sure if you've been there, but
I hasn't, but I think I understand the vibe.
It's grey for 300 days of the year. Yeah. The people are miserable. It's very, very hard to get ahead as an entrepreneur. I mean, that was 14 years ago. It's even worse right now, you know. But we haven't come here to talk about the state of the UK today, have we?
Yeah, I think like you know, like why I try to jump on this topic, because I believe that in Thailand there's some certain magic. We can speak about numbers, we can speak about some logics, ROI or something. But here, most of the people from Western world, when they come in here, they see huge difference in everything. Like you said, you start from like a kid. You need to learn how to live again, because you can understand that, okay, 365 days is the summer. You know, people smile everywhere. You know, like it's very, very safe place. You know, like you don't need to look around or like and being scary if someone will rob you or something like this. It's completely different. And of course, when most of the people came here first time, let's say I speak about for different people who come to live here, people who come to work here, even tourists. For them, this kind of completely different world, it's like some magic. Right? Sure. And maybe at that point, people start to get this kind of virus that I need to buy something here.
Yeah.
I need to own something in this paradise. I want to be part of paradise, like in their head. And it's super difficult to explain sometimes.
I agree. I think there definitely is an infectious positivity about coming to Thailand. I remember the first time I got off the plane in Bangkok, and you walk out the doors at Swanepoel, and just that heat hits you. You've never felt anything like that before. So I think a lot of people, they come here for 2 weeks on vacation. They look at their bank balance after they've been here, and they realize, they've barely spent anything compared to what they would spend back home. And a lot of people start to reevaluate their priorities in life. After being here for a couple of weeks, they'll go back to Europe or the UK or the US. They'll go back into their hamster wheel 9 to 5, and they'll just be thinking about, how do I get back to Thailand? How do I get back to Thailand? And for a lot of people, it's not as simple as, packing up and moving across the world. But the world that we live in now, so many people are working online. The visa situation here in Thailand is very, very accommodating now. And there's certainly plenty of people with enough money to come and buy a place here. You don't need $1 million to get a nice property here in Thailand. So it's a lot more affordable than it would be.
But even for $1 million, you get really, really good property.
Oh, for sure. I mean, for $1 million, you're going to get a nice place here. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Instead of one apartment somewhere in UK, like apartment maybe 60 square meters, you can get a nice villa, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's how. But you always then you moved to Phuket, and you always live in Phuket after it. But because I remember you've been some other areas as well, or I'm wrong.
That's correct.
You live somewhere else, right?
Like I said, in 2017 through to 2019, I was working with Head Start Properties, doing the condo sales back then. And then, 2020, the market changed a little bit, shall we say.
And our lives as well.
Yeah, when the borders closed, it became pretty tricky to find business. There was certainly properties changing hands, but it seemed to be not the market that I was focusing on. Obviously, I was focusing on the tourist market, the affordable condos. When the borders shut, the lead flow stopped immediately. And what seemed to be happening during COVID, a lot of people had to leave the island for one reason or another. So they'd be selling their house for a big discount. So I do know certain agents who really cleaned up during COVID. You know? But for myself, I decided to, take a little bit of a different route. I launched a couple of online marketing businesses. I did the digital nomad thing for a while. I lived in Vietnam. I spent some time in Cambodia, which was great. And that's actually when I launched my YouTube channel, which is what provides a lot of our leads for the property business now. That was actually launched during the COVID era. So one of my first ever videos was how to apply for the Phuket Sandbox scheme. Because I landed in Phuket on the first week of the Phuket Sandbox scheme. And I was in various Facebook groups about, what documents do you need to get.
And you get this experience by yourself and want to share it to people, right?
Precisely. So if you scroll back, goodness me, 3.5, 4 years, there's a couple of videos of me, traveling from the UK to the Phuket Sandbox and how to apply for the Phuket Sandbox scheme. And I couldn't believe it, but I published it. Next morning, I woke up and it had like 5,500, 6,000 views. So it was sort of a wake-up call to me that people actually were looking for stuff like this. So that's how I launched the YouTube channel back in the day, and it's evolved a little bit since then, But it was definitely a positive experience.
Yeah, but this is one of my compliment too, because I always happy to see when people very consistent, and with all of the digital, especially digital content, you have to be consistent. Even whenever sometimes his views going down, sometimes it's growing, but most important is the audience really need you. Like when they start to watch you, they have they really need to have your new videos. Exactly the same with our podcast. Like we're doing it right now in different languages, but right now for us, people asking, okay, when is the next podcast? We want to see the new guest. And thank you so much that you come in for me today.
That's my
because
pleasure.
you experienced YouTuber, and this is my compliment to you as well, because I understand how much energy and time at stake,
Sure.
like and how you like. If you mentioned that you've been in 3 countries, right? Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand. It's very interesting to ask you compare those places. Why you again in Phuket? Because many people telling right now that okay, Vietnam is a new hot place. You need to go there. It's really lower prices. Everything just starting there. It's Phuket or Thailand 10 years ago. Best place for foreigners, right? Like about Cambodia, I think right now it's maybe not a right topic. And
Let's move on.
On this stage. But for Vietnam, can you a little bit compare? You try Thailand
Sure.
and Vietnam. So why Thailand?
Well, I mean, when I was in Vietnam, I was living in Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon. So coming from the paradise island of Phuket and going into the middle of an Asian metropolis with 13 million people, it was quite a contrast, So for the first couple of months, I loved it. It was great. I was living in a big high-rise building in Vinh Homes, really enjoying the coffee houses in Vietnam and the pho. But something just made me want to come back to Phuket, It's a convenient city, Ho Chi Minh, but I couldn't speak the language. My Thai's not great, but I can get by. I can speak restaurant Thai, taxi driver Thai, which makes a big difference. I found the Vietnamese people to be a little bit cold on the outside, actually. Once you'd broken through and you got to know them a little bit better, they're very warm, nice people. But in general, I find Thai people a lot more welcoming, a lot easier to get to know, And also, my whole network was in Phuket. When I moved to Vietnam in 2021, I'd been in Phuket for a long time. All my friends were here. My business contacts were here. I never meant to permanently relocate to Vietnam. So when the market started to take off in Phuket in sort of beginning of 2023, when getting back into Phuket became a little bit easier, it just seemed like the obvious thing to do, So Phuket, for me, has got everything that Vietnam has got. I mean, Thailand has got everything that Vietnam has got and more. I mean, it's certainly set up and it's more foreigner friendly, I mean, if you don't speak a word of Thai, you can get along pretty okay.
You can live in Satun.
Well, you probably could, exactly.
And you, of course, maybe it's not super comfortable, but still there's no big stress because you don't feel alien over there, right?
Sure. But I mean, I speak for myself. I've got friends. One of my best friends, Nate, guy from Yorkshire, he's been based in Ho Chi Minh for 18 years. He's got family over there. He's got a business over there. So there is a lot of very, very satisfied long-term expats in Vietnam. And it is a great place to live. But for me, Thailand trumps it for many reasons,
I think Thailand already in front of many countries, Southeast Asian countries around. In terms of even laws, in terms of, like you said, foreigner friendly, it's much. We are already 10 years in front from many other countries. Of course, we not compare Thailand to Singapore or Hong Kong and countries with the economical centers of the Southeast Asia, right? But in general, we are quite, like it's a good place. It's easy to assimilate for the foreigner who come here with different money, right? So people who just want to come to work here, like it's like a lot of teachers for English language or whatever, a lot of international schools right now. Back then, when you came here, I'm not sure it was so many schools, even so many place where foreigner can work. You know,
I mean, there was a handful of international schools back then. Obviously, there was British International School.
Yeah.
You had UWC, which used to be called PIA, Phuket International Academy, and then it rebranded as UWC.
Actually, my daughter is studying in UWC.
Okay, it's a great school.
So that's why she's also like she have all of the native speakers around. So that's why. Instead of like she don't have accent like I do, like she can speak with you properly. For me, I still have a little bit of post-Soviet accent. Let's call it like this.
Okay, post-Soviet accent, right?
Yeah, that's hot. But UWC, and now it's about 20 schools in Phuket.
I mean, there seems to be new ones being added to the list every single week, doesn't there? And I think that reflects the market here in Phuket. People aren't just coming for a month or 2 months. It's not just your digital nomad crowd. Families are moving to Phuket, not just your super high net worth families who can, afford your top end school fees. You've got a lot of mid end schools now. There's a new one just opened in Manik, I think, which is fairly affordable. So whether you want to spend, $30,000 a year on your kids' education or $6,000-$7,000 or anything in between, you've got those schools on the menu to choose from. And a big chunk of our clients right now, when they come to us, we're thinking about moving to Phuket. The first thing that we'll ask them, have you got kids and which school are they going to? Because that's going to dictate where they live, So quite often our leads that are coming through YouTube, they're not necessarily looking for property straight away. They're looking for different areas to live in, best areas for families, top schools, things like that. They're in the discovery phase. And then they'll often send us a message, asking what's the best area for a family with kids at UWC. And then as soon as they've got kids at UWC, you can offer them project X, Y, and Z. And you can get them on a call and you can sort of build that relationship that way.
When I listen to you, I would like to little bit specify for our audience. Right now, you are working in a real estate agency, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell a little bit more about the company, about how you get there, and about the experience? Because we jumped straight away to the discussion about the property, but it will be good introduction for you as well.
Please. So now I work with a company called Lazudi, who are a national company. We've got offices obviously here in Phuket, over in Samui, up in Bangkok, and we do property sales and rentals as well as management as well. So we manage, goodness me, over 200 properties all around Thailand now. So I actually joined Lazudi back in 2023 as the short-term rental manager. So I was onboarding villas, assisting with guest check-ins, onboarding new properties and things such as that. But pretty quickly, I realized that short-term rentals wasn't the skill set that I was cut out for, shall we say. So I moved back onto the sales team, which is, where my forte lies. So I've been on the sales team with Lazudi since the tail end of 2023. But at the same time, I'm building my own brand, the Living in Phuket, Thailand YouTube channel.
We will put your link under this podcast as well.
Thank you.
Follow Mike. For sure. I really like what he's doing.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm building that YouTube channel. It used to be called Mike Davison. And I used to talk about, it was branded as my own name. And I used to talk about cost of living, how to find work. But then the property focus it changed to the property focus after I realized that most of the leads coming in were wanting to move to Phuket and they wanted to find property here. So we shifted the focus of the YouTube channel. We changed the name from Mike Davison to Living in Phuket, Thailand. We figured that if somebody's looking to move to Phuket, they're not going to be searching for me. They're going to be searching for those sort of keywords.
They should be your fans like me. Then we will type exactly like this.
Sure. I'm building that YouTube channel, which, that keeps me busy, shall we say. I'm working in partnership with Lazudi. And yeah, we're looking forward to another busy high season this year, shall we say?
Yeah, high season is on the way. Can you tell a little bit more about this experience, how to work? Because many people, they don't really understand how digital products or let's say YouTube works. Can you tell a little bit more how lifestyle? You're selling lifestyle for people mainly, right? Or some idea. Can you tell maybe some stories when people came to you from YouTube channels, they saw some video and they bought something, like maybe some cycle, because it's very interesting to see why those people came to you and why they bought property, because you are kind of one of the promoter of Phuket. Because of you, in Phuket is another, economy being born, can you tell a little bit more about this?
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many great stories. I mean, I think the main thing for me is that the people who come through the YouTube channel, by the time they've messaged you, they've already watched 4 or 5 hours of you talking to them, so you're building that relationship, you're passive prospecting, if you will, So, I mean, I'll give you one example. One of our early clients from the YouTube channel is a French guy and his wife who actually live over in Australia. He connected with us back in 2023, so fairly early on, when we were shifting the focus of the YouTube channel. And he said, we've seen a couple of your videos. We're interested in possibly buying something here in Phuket. Can you come and meet us? So we went down to, he was staying in Patong actually. He just finished the tour with another agent. So we got him in the car, we took him to 4 or 5 properties, Meter Grand, Aristo, all of those types of places. And we built a good connection with the guy, he was a very nice guy. We got chatting. It turns out he had properties all around the world. He didn't make a decision on the spot, but about a week later, he dropped us a message saying, okay, we want to do a deal on the unit at Meter Grand. So that was not the first, but it was one of the early deals from YouTube, Anyway, we onboarded the Meter Grand unit onto our rental program. We started managing it, paying him returns every month. And then he came back actually with his wife about 2 months ago. He was very happy with everything that we'd done for him. And he says, okay, proof of concept's there. We're going to buy another unit. So they actually purchased a 2-bedroom at the Title Heritage, which is currently being built. It's going to be finished middle of next year. So they like Phuket so much now that they're actually going to be living in that unit and renting the one at Meter out. But I mean, these people have become very good friends. When they came last time, I drove them up to the hot springs in Phang Ya, had the day out with them. They've actually invited me over to Australia. I've met their sons and their daughters, so it's not just a transaction. All the people who are coming through.
You build a relationship.
You really do. And, that's how any good real estate agent builds their business at the same time. They'll be referring me to somebody who will be passing my card to someone else. So, yeah, I think referral marketing is definitely the way.
And transparency, one of the main key point, of this, because when people already know you from YouTube or from some videos, they see as much as possible transparency. And here's another question. Do you believe that in future, all of the real estate agents will be YouTubers or not? What do you think? Or it's your killer feature at this stage, or in future it will be too many. But today I think this is very strong. But what if everyone will start to do it the same?
Can I tell you why I'm not worried about that, Oleg?
Yes.
Because there's too many lazy agents.
Yes, I agree with you 100%.
Building a YouTube channel, it takes consistency. It's not just a case of posting a couple of videos and, okay, I'll wait till the leads come in, I'll become a millionaire. It doesn't work like that.
So many people like that.
You've got to be consistent with the videos. You've got to have a constant source of properties. You can't just be covering boring 3.5 million baht condos every week because nobody's going to watch them. You've got to be a likable person, the know, like, trust process. In order to buy from you, first of all, somebody needs to know who you are. So you need to be putting out regular videos, optimizing for the right type of keywords. Then they need to trust you. Yeah, so you can't be doing the, buy this for 5 million baht. By the time it's finished, it's going to be worth 15 because nobody's going to fall for that, If there's a bad project or something that you don't think somebody should buy, tell them that, be frank with them. They need to trust you. And of course, they need to like you as well. If you don't do business with somebody who you dislike. So you can create that using YouTube. But as far is every agent in Phuket going to be doing it? I mean, I would like to see more agents doing it. I think it's
usually everyone have YouTube channel, but they not continue after 2 videos, right?
I think so, because it can be quite what's the word? Your first 2 videos will get like 8 views, 35 views, and then you'll be sitting there.
And most
thinking,
of it is your friends, right?
Exactly, and you're thinking, what's the point? And it'll take a good 6 months of getting a handful of views on your videos before you start to see growth. And that's what YouTube wants. It wants consistency. It wants to see that people are coming back and putting more data into the system. And once you start being consistent, posting a decent video at the same time every week, YouTube will push your content to the right people eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm doing not only YouTube, in general, digital marketing for many, many years, right? And when I look inside, sometimes you don't have much views, but it's very right people. Mm-hmm. If you speak about property, every single view of the right person can jump in their heart and it can help you, right?
Sure.
And even if you have let's say 500 views, but it's 500 potential property buyers, with a conversion of 1%, you already have really good numbers.
Absolutely.
Right? That's why it's more, I believe it's not not about the actual content, about what you have inside, what you're talking about, and that people really want to see it. Because if we look at the Phuket, how many tourists come here every year? Roughly less than 20 million.
Yeah.
It's grown right or left, let's say about plus 500,000 of local people. And I think right now, close to 100,000 of foreigners who's living here, roughly, right?
Sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, something like this. So this is a whole audience, right? So of course, it's not a big, in general, it's not a big audience for digital.
Sure.
But if we promote Phuket well, the things that what you're doing, things that I doing, to say that this is a place that you need to take attention, then the people from outside, they will be motivated to, first of all, to look at it, and maybe afterwards to come here for holiday, and afterwards maybe to stay here, and maybe to buy something here but not live here, to get it for some investment or holiday reason, right? So that's why I believe it's very important to be a promoter of Phuket.
I
in this
couldn't
sense.
agree more, and I think what you say is true. It is quite a small digital ecosystem, isn't it? There's not a lot of quality content creators making informative content. There's plenty of people, making 40-second TikTok videos about a villa, but not many people are watching them. But, you're right. You don't have to have a huge audience in order to generate leads and sales. We bring in between 15 to 20,000 views a month, which in the grand scale of things is not massive, right? But let's say 1% of those 15,000 people are serious buyers. And let's say from those 150, 1% of those buy. That's a sale a month plus 3 that we're making from YouTube. So those metrics, now, if we can scale that, and we will be scaling that to 30, 60, 100,000 views a month, well, you do the math.
Yeah, it's the same as we discussed with you before our podcast, that in Phuket right now we have roughly about 3,000 real estate agents who is selling the island and stuff like this. And of course, if every single agent sell 1 unit per month, all Phuket is sold out, every year is sold out of everything what been released. But of course, some people is getting a lot, some people is getting 0, right? And this is kind of how market create. We're in the middle of something that all of the rules, all of the market is creating on our eyes. Before it was nothing. I came here in Phuket same time as you in 2012. Like I think you came 1 year earlier than me, right? Like so, there was only one traffic light in Phuket back then. You know, there's one, no tunnels, very small airport. You know, like just small shopping malls, hospitals was not that massive back then, schools as well. So now you see what like all of those in infrastructure actually motivate people to come here. Everything what we have, and it's a really magic place.
It's a much better place to live than it was 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, and much better place to live in. And like, let's say, here's a great balance. If you go to some islands, doesn't really matter in Thailand or any other country, is let's say Dominican Republic or let's say I don't know Hawaii or another islands, right? Either you have really you know like either you have an island vibe or you have city vibe, but where is a balanced place? It's a Phuket.
Because we have the best of both worlds, right?
If you want to go to beautiful beach, of course, all of the West Coast, you will be never dissatisfied with the beach. You know, like because all of the beaches is really good in high season, especially, right? If you wanna get a coffee in Starbucks, how many Starbucks you have in Phuket? We cannot calculate, I guess.
Sure. There's more being added every month.
If you want to get a Michelin restaurant, like you have a lot of them, right?
Which one do you want to go to?
That's why if you want to go to the Mama Noodle shop, you have even with Mama Noodle shop with Michelin star as well.
Sure.
You know, like that's why it's kind of magical balanced place. Of course, we have right now it's not really balanced proportion of people who stay here because last 2 seasons, 2023, 2024, there was no low season. Sure. Actually, there was a lot of people even during the summer. This year, it was the first year that it was real low season. It's really, in the peak season, it was traffic, people everywhere, and low season, everyone is kind of okay. Like we are chilling right now. Maybe not too many people. Good, and that's why looks like people getting more and more promoted. And if we speak about the peak season, of course, tourists will come always. It's no question. There always will be a tourist destination. But for residential part, and for people who can come and stay here and make our island better, it's another huge market. That's Absolutely. What you speak about. People who bring their families, they bring real economy. Yeah, and back then, I'm not sure it was possible to have podcasts like this in Phuket, where you.
I'm not sure podcasts were even a thing back then, were they?
Yeah, back then I don't even believe. Of course, you can go for some touristic place like a fantasy show, which is really good. Now we have Magic Carnival. I don't know you've been or not. It's also high level of entertainment for tourists. But even for locals, have you been in Junkyard, right? Like in the Junkyard Theater.
Up on the bypass road.
Yes, this one
very cool, isn't it?
It's really cool, like a cultural scene for locals and for tourists, which is I recommend to everyone to go. That's why it's not only about the numbers, it's about a lot of energy coming here and people who buy in the villas, who buy in the condos, people who bring their kids here and they bring their expertise or their knowledge or their culture from other places. They boost up economy as well. Sure. How many restaurants right now really any kind of food?
I mean, you definitely meet very interesting people here in Phuket. Yeah. I was back in the UK. I've just got back, but being in the UK for a month, you seem to have the same conversations with people and people, seem to moan and complain a lot. Here in Phuket, you meet all sorts of fascinating people from all around the world. I was speaking to an Indian crypto millionaire yesterday. I was out for dinner with a wealthy Czech developer. There's the sort of people that you bump into on a daily basis is very, very different from where I live, and with that comes opportunity as well. People come here, like you say, with expertise from their home country, and they end up setting up a business here and bringing that expertise. I mean, one thing that I love at the moment is all of the new spa, sauna, ice bath, steam room places that are cropping up all around the island. There seems to be a new one every single month. But that's something that, again, we even 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, actually, we didn't have. It seems to be in the last couple of years that all of these cool ice bath places have started appearing. So
it's like new standards, new
Sure.
standards come in, lifestyle is getting better. Of course, prices also grow, but now you understand that prices grow following the quality of life,
course.
but it's still not a bubble like in other countries where the price is already high for so service, like here is it's everything balanced, and that's why I think so for many people before they come to us, of course they need to watch your videos to try to understand in general, to prepare themselves for what means Asia and what means Phuket, because when afterwards when they come here, when they see it by their eyes, it will be completely different anyway. From the video, you prepare yourself, but then when you're coming in, wow, it's.
I mean, there's only so many videos that you can watch, isn't there? When you get here and you land in Phuket, it's very, very different to sitting on your couch watching somebody talk about it, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. That's why I believe that everything. Why I try to jump a little bit more in the conversation like this, because my vision is that property, it's not about the square meters. It's not about the just numbers. Property, it's about what's going on around. Like if around a lot of energy, like interesting people, interesting destinations, property value growing up straight away because people want to stay there. People want to come. It's same as, let's say, back then, Layan Beach. No one knows about it. It was just like fields and jungles. Nothing. But beach was so close, access to airport was really accessible. Laguna right hand, and kind of right now we being witness of brand new district. Is growing up where it was nothing, but now so many projects is building completely new era of Phuket, and many people trying to comparing it with a Lion, for example, or with Laguna or with Bangtao, but it's different. I believe it's kind of completely different. It's like back then it was let's say Ravai and Naiharn. Like many people tell that it's same, but it's different different districts. Exactly the same here. Bangtao, it's the same beach, but Lion will be completely new developed district.
It'll certainly look very different to it does now when all of those projects finish in a few years.
With all of the building code that they do.
Sure, I'm hearing Central. I'm not sure whether they've already purchased a bit of land around there for a porter to Phuket too.
I don't get this information. Might be,
I didn't start that rumor. If anyone's watching,
yeah. Let's see. But in general, it makes big sense because around it's right now, of course, at this stage, not too many properties complete there, right? But in perspective of 3 to 5 years, it will be a very, very new market, which will be for people who want to have visual who have visual perceptions. That's very important how it looks. It's not just a classical, here's a Thai house and next is some bar and here is a condo, right? Like for people who want to have all of the code around, looks aesthetically futuristic.
More town planning going on there, right?
Kind of, yeah. That's why we will see how it will go. But of course, what do you think about the next destinations going up north? How is your company when you selling projects, let's say Nayan, Naiton, Maikao or Panga? Is it a big demand on that side, or still most of the people look in this area?
Sure.
More?
I mean, I think really we sell properties all around the island, from all the way down in Rawai up to Naiton. But I think the thing that drives people most, the majority of our clientele are families who are coming to live here. We know we have a handful of investor clients who are buying to purely rent out. Most of people who are coming to us have been to Phuket on vacation. and they want to move here. So what makes them decide where they're going to live is the location of their kids' school. So I see a lot of development happening around UWC. Yeah. Around the north. There's a couple of new projects around there. Up near the Mission Hills Golf Course, there's a very, very good new villa project being built up there. So that sort of Packlock area around UWC towards the top end, I think there's going to be a lot of interesting high-end stuff around
new
there.
Road coming there.
Exactly.
Really wide. Yeah, easy access to the airport and everywhere.
So that's an interesting area. And I mean, the price of land around there now is certainly cheaper than it is in areas like Bang Tao and Lai An. So there's a lot of interesting villa projects around there. As well, that BIS back road, actually, I think is an interesting area as well. As you're driving from Katu up to the British International School, there's a lot of vacant land around there, and we're seeing a handful of new villa projects around there as well. And, you know, they're 35, 50, 70 million baht type places. And again, your international school families are quite happy to rent out places like that for a premium, to purchase places like that. So I think that the growth around the international schools is definitely something to look out for. I also think that the Bumrungrad International Hospital is going to have a huge effect on not just the high-end market, but, you know, all of those people who are working at the Bumrungrad are going to need somewhere to live. Right, you know, all the doctors and nurses and people working in the canteens. So I see a lot more condominiums being built around that sort of Mai Khao, Nai Ton area. There's a lot of very nice villa projects up there now, but condominium-wise, there's not a great deal of nice stuff up there, you know. There's a few in Mai Khao that were built a few years ago that are your little 28 square meter boxes. You've got that nice Sansiri place up in Mai Khao as well, but there's not really many high-end condominiums drifting further north. So I think it makes sense that, you know, that the market will eventually spread north, sure.
Well, when I listen to you, I look like, let's say, if you speak about Phuket, for many years, everyone believes that Phuket property market is about premium and luxury. Close to the beach properties, everything expensive square meter price. But when I listen to what you said, there's a huge demand of the middle class property, good quality, good location, but no one care about how close is the beach, because if you're a resident, you can drive for, actually, when you've been last time on the beach?
Goodness me, yeah. Good question.
So most of the foreigners...
I think probably when I was with a client showing them the nearest beach.
When you last time jump inside in the water. You know, here's
sure.
Here's like most of the people who live here, of course, they're not going to swim every day. Some people, they like it, but in reality, most of the people who come here, for them, most important is infrastructure for their daily lifestyle. That's why there is a huge market. But of course, if you speak about properties close to the beach, land is too expensive right now. And anyway, the price will grow only because of there is no another land, you know, like, and that's why today most of the people look at that investment. But I believe that many people need to look, even if they want to buy for investment, they need to look at the properties for people like residents will come here and rent it. Even 100%. If they don't want to buy it, you can buy a villa somewhere far from the beach, right? But good quality and in a good location. In this case, you can get really high ROI as well.
I mean, but buying a property near a school is an absolute winner. You know, the ones that are close to BIS, I mean, they're never empty. Yeah. You know, they're never empty, and they're 12-month contracts. And if they've got a couple of kids in the school, they'll most likely want to extend for another year. I mean, we've got families in some of the places near BIS that have been in there for 2, extending to 3 years now, you know? And it's the same with Head Start, the campus on opposite Blue Tree. Yeah. A couple of very interesting projects just behind there. You know, buyers buy in there, and within a couple of weeks, they've got school families in their houses. And it's, you know, it's a guaranteed 12-month contract. It's not your high season spike and then a few empty weeks and low season. So
many people like to play this game, right?
well,
Like
I mean,
it's a different.
There's a benefit in playing that as well. If you want to come and use your unit, isn't there? If you want to use your unit, come in September and October and then leave it free for November, December, January. But I mean, there's loads of different strategies that you can use here in Phuket. Buying a property in Phuket is not just sea view and beachfront. There's, like you say, there's many, many more markets that are growing and evolving.
Yeah, cool. What do you think about future of Phuket? I asking it's every my guest, like how do you see Phuket in 2035? Let's imagine that all of the properties that under construction right now it's already finished, already alive. People live there. How do you see it? What is the Phuket in 2035? Because changes will happen. It will be different island in 10 years. How do you see it? Your imagination.
Well, I mean, I guess like I said, Phuket is now, today, is a much better place to live in than it was 10 years ago when, we first arrived here. And I think that trend is going to continue. There's so much more choice in Phuket, and I don't think anyone would deny that having choice is a good thing. You can go to a selection of malls, you could send your kids to different international schools, you've got different hospitals, you've got different beaches, and the number of activities that you've got for kids is growing every single day. If you've got kids, it's a great place to raise them here. So I think in 2035, Phuket will certainly be busier. Let's keep our fingers crossed about the infrastructure. That is something that has to catch up with the number of developments. I know that there are various new roads planned. The Patong Tunnel, there was an announcement last week, I think, that they've bought all of the land, or they've acquired all of the land for the Patong Tunnel. Now they've committed to spending 11 billion baht, I believe. So for me, living in Katu, in the short term, that's going to be an absolute nightmare when the construction work's happening. But, projects like that, they do need to happen. The traffic around Boat Avenue, it can't go on like that. That bypass that they're planning to, I think it's from one side of Boat Avenue that's going to end you up in Kamala, I think.
There was some projects there. It's for a long time people talk about this, but we'll see.
So I really, really hope that this isn't just, politicians speak, and this stuff really does happen, because it will make a big, big difference to your quality of life. I mean, when I first moved here, driving from the south to the north was a 30-minute drive. Right now, a lot of people stay in their zones, don't they? If you live in Bang Tao and Surin, you'll hang out around there. If you live in Rawai, you might make the commute up to the north, when you have to. But a lot of people are hanging around in their local areas. So I think as a result, you will start to see more amenities coming up in those local areas. I mean, I was driving around Bang Tao today and I saw 2 new Tops dailies that I hadn't seen before. There's a new Macro just opening down in Rawai because Shillong's obviously too far to drive for people. So there's going to be more amenities and, like I say, more choice, which isn't a bad thing. I think a lot of the old school Phuket expats, I have to say the Brits are pretty guilty of this. They love to complain. They love to moan. Oh, Phuket's not the place it used to be when I first moved here. I've been in Phuket for 20 years. And it's like, tell me anywhere in the world that is the same place that it was 10 years ago. Of course, places change. Of course, places evolve. To these people, I often get my phone out and show them a GPS of the airport and say it's just that way. So
you can suggest them go to Satun.
Yeah, right, exactly. So places evolve, places change. For me, I think this place is changing for the better. I think, and I've tested other places. I've lived in various places around Southeast Asia and the world, and I keep coming back to Phuket for a reason. There's no better place in the world to live.
I cannot explain how it works logically, but in Thailand it's completely different comparing to, let's say, Europe. In Europe you have a master plan that government announced, and everyone private equity business start to doing something according to this plan. And Thailand, it's completely opposite. It's entrepreneur driven. Some developers say, we will build the best project in the area right here, or we will make this project right here, and then from those energy, when they launch this process, government recognize, oh, okay, so it means we have to think of something about this, and it works another way. But in the end of the day, there was never collapse. I remember 10 years ago, every single person tell me that, you know what, Chalon circle is under construction, lots of traffic, in Naiharn or Ravai is 20,000 unit under construction. There will be nightmare with the buses, traffic, and so on and so on. So time passed and everything managed, this is exactly the same. So sometimes it's not about logics, it's about to see that, of course, if this signal, the business gives a signal to government will solve it. It just needs to get some time.
You're right. Yeah, it's never a simple A to B. You always have to go via Z first, I think, don't you? Particularly when it involves the infrastructure and, local government spending, I think.
Mike, thank you so much for this podcast
today.
My
pleasure. Thanks for having me, man.
I'm pretty sure that our audience will like it. Yeah, and please subscribe for Mike YouTube channel, not podcast. Yeah? And put some comment below if you're interested to ask something, and thank you for watching us. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.